Alright, what's up everybody? Back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we have another episode of the Look In series, and this one is on the LA Clippers. They lost the other day to the Phoenix Suns, Game 5, ending their season. There's a lot to talk about with this one. It's going to be a big episode on the Clippers, because there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about. Yeah, thank you guys for the views on the vids and the shorts. Recently, we do the content around here. Consider subscribing, like, turn on notifications, all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. If you missed any of the other episodes of the Look In playlist on my channel, you can just go back there and watch all of them. And yeah, there's gonna be a lot more of these Look In series coming out. I think there's one coming out later today, and then probably one coming out early tomorrow as well. And also depending on how teams lose their series and stuff. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. So the LA Clippers, this year they finished 44-38. A typical Clippers season, a lot of injuries, a lot of just a lot of things going on, you know. They started the year off pretty, like, they go on streaks, you know, like they started like pretty bad, and then they got a lot better, and then they had a cold streak, then they had a hot streak. It's like they've been up and down to this cold and hot streak the entire season. And also without Kawhi Leonard for a lot of the start of the season because of, again, injuries and stuff. They kind of were battling with that stuff all year, but they've been battling with that stuff with the entire tenure of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. We're going to talk about a lot more about that a little bit later. But then they start to find their rhythm. You know, Paul George plays really well. He starts playing good, but then he gets there. But then Kawhi comes back and he starts playing really, really good. And the Clippers start to rise a little bit, but the role players are kind of not really stepping up like they usually are. So they go to the trade deadline, make some big moves. They trade for Bones Highland, Eric Gordon, Mason Plumlee. They get rid of Reggie Jackson. I can't think of the other guys who they got rid of right now off the top of my head, but they got rid of some of their normal pieces, got some guys. Norman Powell starts playing well, and then they go sign Russell Westbrook in the buyout market after Paul George really wanted him to. They started off pretty bad. The Russell Westbrook tenure started pretty bad, but then they ended the year off really well, and they finished 44-38. They get the 5 seed, go into the first round against the Phoenix Suns without Paul George because he got hurt at the end of the year, hurt his leg against the Thunder. And so they're going with Kawhi Leonard and Russell Westbrook, and they make it really interesting. You know, they win game 1 after Russell Westbrook has an amazing performance. Kawhi Leonard plays well. Game 2, they just barely lose because Kawhi Leonard played really well. But then it turns out Kawhi Leonard had a torn meniscus that he was dealing with in the 2 games, and the Clippers shut him down. They're like, no, he can't play through this. So they shut him down, and then the Clippers lose the next 3 games, even though they give about as good as a fight as you can ask for, where a team without their 2 star players. Like, they pushed the Suns to the brink. It literally took Devin Booker putting up, 40 and 50, 45 points for the Suns to beat the Clippers. So, got to give a round of applause to the Clippers for what they did without their 2 star players. And now we're going to get into some of the individual players. There's a lot to talk about with these guys. Starting off with Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, injury-riddled season. I feel like we were saying that the last few years now, ever since 2018, I want to say 2019. I'm saying that. Kawhi played 52 games this season. But he played really well. Like, when he first started the season, he was coming off the bench. It was really weird. He wasn't really doing the Kawhi things, but then once he missed some time, but then he came back, and he looked like Kawhi Leonard. He averaged just under 24 points with 6.5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. Shot 51% from the field, 41% from 3, 87% from the free throw line. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, we all know, when he's on the court, he's like top 10 outstanding player on both ends. Offensively, he can just get whatever bucket he wants whenever he wants to, and defensively, he's gonna be at the top tier as well. It's just the injuries are a big problem. That's the only thing. His injuries, his knees. It's been the knee. Like, when he first missed, it all started after he got stepped under Zaza Pachulia. And then here this quad. He missed basically the entire next season. He played 9 games, I want to say. Then he has the whole falling out with the Spurs, gets traded to the Raptors, is on and off, kind of starts to load managing. But then they win a championship. Then he comes to the Clippers the next year. Does the same thing, kind of starts load managing. We get to the bubble. They lose that. And then the next year, 2021, kind of on and off again. Load managing, but then he gets hurt in the playoffs that year. He tears his ACL in the second round. So then he misses that, and then he misses the entire next season, which was last year. He missed the entire last year This year he came back and then had another injury, came back, was low managing, and then gets hurt again. So Kawhi Leonard for the last like 4 or 5 years has been very injury riddled. The 2017 season, when he played 74, which is the most he's played in his career. After that, he played 9 games in 2018, 60 games 2019 when they won a championship with the Raptors, 57 his first year with the Clippers, 52 2021, didn't play the entirety of last year, and then played 52 this season, which in the context of now the NBA, 52 isn't horrible, but it's still, that's 30 games. That's 30 games that you miss, or about like 25 to 30 games that you miss because of injury, which is huge. 25 to 30 games. If he plays in half of those games, let's say he plays in 15 more of those games, 52. Let's say this year, 52 games, he plays in like half of it. So he missed 30 games this season. Let's say he played 15 more games. So he played 67 games this season. Those 15 games, with how great Kawhi Leonard is, 15 games, he can go out and win you like 8 or 9 of those games by himself. And the Clippers will be in a whole different situation. But it's the injuries. The injuries are a big problem. His knees just aren't the same as they used to be, when he was 23, 24. He's 31. Knees aren't working like it used to. And honestly, I think we just kind of have to accept this from Kawhi Leonard. Like, he's going to miss some games in the regular season, but it's all about the playoffs. And even though this year he got hurt in the playoffs, you saw that if Kawhi does this low managing, he's going to come out in the playoffs. Kawhi Leonard is going to be a top 5 player in the playoffs. We all know this. The last few years, Kawhi, when he comes to the playoffs, is just insane, dominant. We wait all regular season for the playoffs for Kawhi Leonard to really become Kawhi Leonard. But it's just, if he's going to get injured in the playoffs, even when he's still load managing, it's like, then what can we really do? The Clippers, what can we do about this? Is he just gonna have to like sit out the entire regular season and only show up for the playoffs? That can't work. So it's like, it's very tough, And now he has to recover from this torn meniscus injury, which who knows how long that's gonna take. He said he's still weighing his rehab options and what he's gonna do. So maybe there's not a guarantee he's ready for the start of next season potentially. Like, it's a lot of factors involved in Kawhi Leonard, and I don't think the Clippers are in the position really to trade Kawhi, because I don't know what Kawhi's value is. I mean, obviously he's a top. He's a potential to be a top 10 player, top 5 player in the league. Like, we all know this. It's just, how much am I getting? Am I getting that for 60 games and a playoff, or am I getting that for 20 games? And nope, like, where am I getting with Kawhi Leonard? And now with this injury, who knows? No one knows when he's going to be able to go again. I want to assume this might be the last injury. Like, maybe there's another thing that comes after this. It's just super tough to evaluate this with Kawhi Leonard's situation. And honestly, I just kind of feel like the Clippers are kind of stuck with him. Stuck in a sense of like, not like, oh my God, we can't get rid of this dude, oh my God. But just kind of like I don't know where he's going to go, trade him, so I mean, we're going to keep him. There's no point in trading him. That kind of stuck. Because I think the Clippers want Kawhi Leonard there. They like it there. Kawhi likes to be the Clipper. He literally chose to go to the Clippers because, I mean, he's from LA or from Cali. He wants to be at home. So I think the Clippers are just okay with keeping Kawhi Leonard. Then next we go to Paul George. Paul George played 56 games this year. He averaged just under 24 with 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals. He shot 45% from the field, 37% from 3. He had a pretty good year as well. The injury at the end of the year against the Thunder really sucked, because if he doesn't get hurt in that game, then they still have him for the playoff run. Even if Kawhi goes down, they still got Paul George and Russell Westbrook. But we missed out on that. And Paul George is kind of the same thing. He's been injury riddled ever since he got to the Clippers. Really, I don't think in OKC he was really that injury riddled, unless I'm forgetting. Yeah, both years in OKC, he played 79 games and 77 games. And before that, 75, 81. He wasn't really a guy that missed games except for the 2015 year when he broke his leg in the offseason with Team USA, when he played 6 games the next year. That's the only aim. But everything else, like, his first year, he played 61, 66, but that's because he wasn't really a regular rotational player. In 2012 was a lockout year, so he actually did play every game, 66. Then 79, 80. Then he played the 6-game season. Then he played 81, 75, 79, 77. And then you look at once he got to the Clippers. First year of the Clippers, 48, 54. Last year he played 31, 56. Like, I don't know. It's like he got to the Clippers and injuries just started happening to him, which is very rare because we never seen before this. Paul George was never a guy that had a lot of injuries. Paul George was always an Iron Man, basically. So it's very weird how that's gone. And I think if they were to trade somebody, it would be Paul George instead of Kawhi because the injuries haven't really shown up since they got to the Clippers. And I think it would be an easier task to trade Paul George than it is Kawhi Leonard. Because Paul George, at this point, we kind of know, like, he's not the number one. He's not going to be a number one on a team, but he could be a amazing number two, like a super good number two. And I think he's accepted that, and other teams know that already. So I think it'd be easier to trade Paul George because there'll be a team out there like the Grizzlies. I'm just putting them out there for an example. That'd be like, you know what, we're one piece away. They have that over there, and Paul George, he's older, but we have so much talent around them that even if Paul George does miss some games, we can still have Ja and Jaren kind of carry the load, and then the playoffs come, he'll be a guy like something like that, you know. But I don't think he will be traded. I think again, have to wait another year to trade Paul George. But that's a very weird situation in itself, the Paul George thing. And then we have a lot of other talk about the team. We have one guy that's going to go into free agency and really want to give a round of applause to Russell Westbrook, man. Russell Westbrook game to the Clippers after a very tough showing with the Lakers, got bought out by the Jazz, comes to the Clippers, and looks alive again. 21 games, he averaged 15, 4, or 15, 5, and 7 with a steal. He shot 49% from the field, 35% from 3. But in the playoffs, he was just on another level, man. Like, we really have to. I want to give a big round of applause for Russell Westbrook. You know, give him another one. Give him two. He give him two because he played. He was the best player for the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. When Kawhi Leonard was gone, he was the best player for the Clippers in the playoffs, and it was phenomenal to see. You know, in his playoff series against the Suns this season, he averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal and a block. He shot 41% from the field, 35% from 3, 88% from the free throw line. He was really, really good. You know, he had that big 30-12 game in game 3. He had 37 in game 4. In game 1, he had 9, 11, and 8, but he had big offensive rebounds and a big block to kind of save the game. Like, Russell Westbrook is rejuvenated. Russell Westbrook is alive and well and back and rejuvenated. And a new chapter in his career of kind of like the energy guy. But he also is going into free agency this year. And the Clippers don't have a lot of money. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Russell Westbrook does. Does he stay with the Clippers and try to build this team up but take a big pay cut? Or does another team potentially offer him a very solid, maybe 2 or 3 year contract with some money involved that maybe he goes over there? It's going to be very interesting to see. If I'm the Clippers, I would love wanting to keep Russell Westbrook around because he came to the team and played amazing for us, and he really fits kind of like the Clipper. He just fits as a Clipper. Like, as soon as he went to the Clippers, I kind of like, it fits. Like, it makes sense. So I really hope they can keep him. It's gonna be very tough, but it's got to be on him. It's got to be on Russ to see like what's gonna happen. But then the rest of this Clipper team, like there's so many players on this team, man. Norman Powell played really well. He played 60 games. He averaged 17, 3 and an assist. He shot 48% from the field, 39% from 3. He was amazing in the playoffs series as well. He was really, really good. You got Zubac had a pretty good year. He averaged 10, almost 10 and 10 with an assist and a block. He shot 63% from the field. They got Nick Batum averaged 6, 3 and 1. He was very solid. Shot 39% from 3, even though he had a tough playoff outing. You got Terrence Mann, he averaged 8, 3 and 2. You got Eric Gordon that came over there and played pretty solid. Bones Highland had some big scoring game. Like, this Clipper team is just there's so many players on this Clipper team, man. Which is why it's so tough to see them go out. It's so tough to see what they can be because every year they've had such a good team, but it's just like one thing that's just like, we almost get to see this full team. You know, like they have such good role players. They built this team really well. At the trade deadline, they went out and got the pieces that they needed, and all three of those guys played pretty solid. Also, I want to give a huge credit to Tyronn Lue because he is an amazing coach. You know, and he should not be fired. I just saw something that said he's expected to remain as the Clipper coach, which he should. He should not get fired for this. It's not his fault that his star players keep getting hurt. And he's shown the last 3 4 years, or the last 3 years he's been there, like, even with the star players getting hurt, this Clipper team is still going to be competitive. And they're still going to put up a fight no matter what. Like, they can have Kawhi, Paul George miss an entire series, and this team is going to come out and still play and bring the other team they're playing to the brink. You know, like, again, it literally took Devin Booker having to put up 40, 45 points to get this team out, to get this Clipper team out. Like, Tyronn Lue is an amazing coach. He makes a lot of great adjustments. Rotations are good. He just brings like an extra. He brings out the hunger, you know, in this Clipper team, in the fight in this Clipper team, and he deserves to still be the coach of this team. But thinking about the future and what should happen with this Clipper team, I don't expect a breakup yet with the Kawhi and Paul George thing. I think they should give it one more try next year. See when Kawhi comes back, when Paul George comes back, with a full year of Russell Westbrook, with a full year of guys like Eric Gordon. If Russell Westbrook comes back, of course. Mason Plumlee's also a free agent, which can be interesting to see how they do that there because Mason Plumlee played pretty well. He was kind of the center that they've been wanting, you know, kind of a more mobile center that can do a lot of different things. But a full year of this whole team together, if they bring back Westbrook and Plumlee and all that stuff, like this team can be super, super dangerous and a contender. But it's all because it's all about the injuries. If Kawhi Leonard and Paul George can stay, honestly, I don't need them. I don't need Kawhi and Paul George to play 70, 75 games anymore in the regular season with this team. I don't need that anymore. I think we've kind of accepted the fact that that's not going to happen. If they can give us a good 60, 65 in the regular season, or maybe even a little less, but can be fully healthy for the playoff run, that I'll take it. I think the Clippers will take that because the Clippers, again, they've shown the last few years they're good enough that even if Kawhi and Paul George miss some time in the regular season, they're still gonna be a mid 40 win team, even without those two being there and playing 75, 80 games. Like Russell Westbrook, like Norman Powell, Batum, you know, Man, Gordon, those guys just by themselves can win some games and get you maybe a 40 something wins. Of course, with Kawhi and Paul George, of course, sprinkled in there for games as well. That team could still be a mid-level playoff team. And honestly, this is a team where if they're fully healthy for the playoffs, seeding really doesn't matter. Like even if they do end up as a 5-6 seed, then you bring in Kawhi and Paul George. It's like, oh man, like this is no way. There's no way there's a 5 or 6 seed. Seeding doesn't matter. That's the only thing. Like at this point, we have to kind of expect that these two guys aren't going to play a full regular season at this point. We gotta just accept that. It's not gonna happen. But just give me a decent regular season. Don't give me like 20 games in the regular season. Give me like 50 to 60, 65 at the 65 at the most. To be so you can qualify for like all NBA. But even then, I don't think that they've done so much. I don't think they really care about that anymore. I just think it's like just give me a decent regular season. Give me like 50 to 60 in the regular season. If you want to load manage sometimes, that's cool. You don't have to play 3 games in 4 nights. That's fine. Just be ready for April. Just be ready for April. That's all we ask. Just be ready for April, May, and potentially if we get there, June. And that's all we need out of you. Which is a very weird and crazy thing to say, but it's true. It's like I don't think we've ever said this about any team before. Where it's like regular season doesn't even matter. Just our team can get us to the playoffs. Just you guys just be ready for the playoffs. Like that's crazy that we have to say this, but it's like it's true. Like that's what we have. That's kind of the goal. Regular season, just be good enough to play some games. Be ready for mid-April, and after that's all we care about. It's crazy. But yeah, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do the content, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, those stuff like that. Really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. If you haven't watched any of the other look-in episodes, go watch them. I'm dropping some more. I'm gonna have another one later today about. I'll spoil it. It's about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then also have to do a Milwaukee Bucks one. That's gonna be an interesting one as well. That'll probably be early tomorrow. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.